to today's episode. My name is Naya. As usual, your host of Becoming the Product. I hope you're having a very nice day today. And today I have a special episode with another special guest, Mr. Valentine Eke. I hope that we're going to learn something from today's episode. We're going to be discussing how to overcome imposter syndrome as a product manager in training. And so without further ado, I'm going to invite him to give us like a brief introduction into how he transitions and what he does presently. Hello, Valentine. How is your day going?
Hi, Naya. Thanks for inviting me to the podcast. I'm excited to be here. And my day is going fine so far.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. I'm super excited to have you here today. Could you give us a brief intro into how you transitioned into product management?
So my path into product wasn't direct. I actually landed my first role via an internal transition, although I had been prepping and taking courses before the transition happened. So I joined the company as a user researcher, and then a few months into my time, a PM role opened up, right? And then I pitched to the hiring manager, and she agreed to give me a shot. And that was how I landed my first role. And it's been amazing so far.
That also tells us that you don't necessarily have to go outside. Internal transitions are the norm as well. So if you see any opportunities within your circle, within your company, you can always aim for that as well. So which company do you work for?
Yeah, so I work with Mdundo. Mdundo is building the Spotify for Africa. We basically allow users come to download or stream songs from their favorite artists, while we allow artists to upload music and make money off their art. That's a summary of Mdundo.
The imposter syndrome. Is this something you experienced while you were transitioning or even now?
Yes. To be honest, everybody has those doubts, right? I've also heard people talk about imposter syndrome. So I think it's normal. I experienced it when transition, and experience it, once in a while when doing a task I've never done before, right? Yeah.
A little bit more common with us transitioning. I had a chat with a couple of people in my community, kind of, and that was one thing that kept popping up about how do they identify this? How do they know that it's actually imposter syndrome that is affecting their work? So do you know any of certain triggers or certain situations that might prompt that, how we can better identify imposter syndrome when it comes up?
Yeah, so I don't have a playbook for identifying imposter syndrome, but what I can say is how anyone can identify it is sometimes you just feel like I can't do this, right? Or maybe I'm not ready for this job, or maybe I'm going to get fired, right? Or I'm not as good as I think I am, right? So these are some of the flags, right, that I've had in my career that show that, imposter syndrome is there. I don't know if you have any as well, but these are some of the things I've noticed here in my career.
Training period, when I was at Women's Excel, I don't know if you know about the company. A company actually reached out to me that I should come and teach an advanced product management class. And I was like, how can I? I have not had any practical experience in product management yet. But you are reaching out to me to come and teach fellow people. And I know it's imposter syndrome because regardless of the fact that I don't have that practical experience, I actually have done some product work and I have industry experience kind of in fintech and banking. So I know that I completely agree with you. When this certain thoughts come up, it's actually imposter syndrome that's the feeling that's coming up.
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
When this kind of comes up, do you have ways that you can manage it? Do you have tips and tricks?
Yes. So it depends on what the trigger is. So for instance, if it's coming up because I'm tasked or I'm to complete a task I've not done before, I would literally just go to Google and see if I can find a template or maybe a blog post or maybe a YouTube video explaining what needs to be done, right? Like, or giving me an idea of how to solve that problem, right? So that's one thing. I'll just go online, search whatever, I'm confused about. So case in point, I was tasked to create a product strategy. Was it last year or so? But I hadn't done that before from scratch, right? So I had to do a lot of research on what does it look like, search online for resources, as well as seek help from like senior colleagues as well. Yeah, I reached out to a lot of people. But I was able to do it, but yeah, the doubts kept coming. But it was awesome that I was able to achieve that with the resources and then with mentorship.
Actually boils down to the trigger or the situation that you find yourself in, and try to like figure out how to, don't let that feeling like overcome you. Try to think how you want to solve that problem and do it as quickly as you can, depending on the resources and the mentorship you get. I know as product managers, confidence is key. And being confident is also something that could help us whenever this imposter syndrome or this self-doubt pops out. Could you just give us any like practical steps or any ways that help us boost our confidence as PMs or as people trying to be PMs? Do you have any experience with that?
Yes, definitely. So the truth about confidence is it comes with the amount of reps you've had, right? That's for product management, in fact, career in general. So something I would advise is for aspiring product managers, find ways to get into communities where product is built, or maybe take a volunteer role, even though they're not paying you, as long as maybe you have another source of income, that's something you can do. And maybe an NGO, just look for experience to sort of improve your skills, whether it's communication, whether it's presentation, or whether it's writing PRDs. The secret is try to get opportunities, try to find opportunities. You can reach out to CEOs of very young stage startups or senior leaders there and just pitch, let them know what you can do. Show them a small deck or presentation that you put together, and you just might never know, right? So the advice I'll have is try to gain more experience doing product stuff, and with time the confidence comes. And I would also add celebrating your wins. Also very important. It's a confidence booster, right? You begin to think, okay, if I could do that before, or if I could do this hard task, I can also do this now. Yeah, so those are some of the tips. One, get experience or look for experience where you can practice your skills. And two, have that reminder, I was able to accomplish this very hard task. I can also do this as well.
That's interesting to know. Sometimes we feel that when we share achievements or share when we hit certain milestones, that it may be that we are, what's the word now? Boastful or proud.
Boastful.
But anyway, this kind of helps with that imposter. So whenever it comes up, when you look at all you've achieved or all the wins you've had, it helps actually to reduce that effect that the feelings might have.
It does.
Yeah. So you mentioned communities and like mentors. How much of a value does this help with your imposter syndrome?
Yeah, it does. Again, depending on the community or the mentor. Belonging to a community, especially one where actual product is being built, you can, again, like I said, the more reps you have, the more confidence you have. So in those communities, you can actually get opportunities to maybe create a PRD or do some user research. as well. And then in terms of mentors, it also helps because if you have a mentor that can give you a high-level guide on what to do, that also helps. It helps reduce the imposter syndrome, because imposter syndrome comes when you have a task to complete, but you're not sure how to do it. Yeah, sometimes you might not want to ask for help, just so that you don't look incompetent, right? Yeah, but I've also learned that sometimes, again, depending on the situation, asking for help is not a bad thing, but you just need to show some sort of progress or the progress you have made. For instance, maybe you're asked to create, for instance, a PRD for maybe a new feature. So maybe you do your research, you talk to some customers, maybe you use a format or a framework to get it up. And then you can just share with your manager, okay, this is how far I've come. Is anything missing? Yeah, like even if you don't, I think where people will be mad will be when you don't know how to do it and you're just keeping quiet, right? I think that's where people, in my experience, that's where, people usually get very angry, right? So asking for help is okay as long as maybe you've done a bit of work on your part and just need maybe further clarification. Yeah, but asking for help from your manager or a senior colleague on your team is not a crime. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. That's another thing that you mentioned, that we struggle with asking for help. Sometimes it might make you look like as if you don't know what you're doing. But in the long run, it's better for you to ask than to keep quiet, because like you said, some people actually take offense when you keep quiet about something and delay the work further.
Yes.
So, thank you so much, Valentine. Do you have any advice for anybody trying to transition into product management? One thing that has helped you that might help our listeners today?
Yeah, so for aspiring PMs, I was an aspiring PM myself, so I understand how the journey can be. I would give maybe 3 points. One, I'll start by saying it's a marathon. Transitioning is a marathon, not a sprint. So although some people tell you, take this course and you become a PM in 3 months or 4 months or something. So I don't want you to fall into that trap of thinking, oh, once I complete a course, I should get a job within 3 to 6 months. Sometimes it happens and other times it doesn't happen, right? So it's a marathon and not a sprint. That's the first, just like the beginning, right? Then the first tip I have is, one, gain experience wherever you can find, whether it's a community, whether it's a volunteer opportunity, whether it's an NGO, whether it's a startup where you don't get paid, but maybe you have another job or it's completely remote. You just need to have that real product experience. I would say this because I learned more on the job than on some of these courses that I took. Yes, the courses give you an idea, but different organizations have different styles of product management. Yes, so the first advice I have is get experience wherever you can. The second advice I have is build a side project if expenses are not coming your way. It could be a small app. Maybe you see a problem in your area, or maybe it's a problem you faced in school. So just, the whole ideation process, prototyping, the whole product management life cycle, you want to do that on that product as much as possible, right? So that's second advice I have. If you can't get the experience, build something on the side, a problem that people face every day. You try to solve it the best way you can. That's the second advice I have. And then the third advice I have would be your resume. I've seen a couple of resumes. The big point here is, one, use a template, of course, and that goes without saying. But say, for instance, I have a maybe a customer support background or maybe a customer representative background, and I'm looking to transition into product management.
Yeah.
My resume should, although there are many things a customer support person does, but my resume should be tailored into product management. What do I mean? So as a customer support person, yes, the primary job is to talk to customers, to resolve issues. So you think about how can I craft my experiences in a way that is appealing to hiring managers. For instance, customer support, they talk to customers, and product management involves talking with customers. So that will be like a key. In fact, the first bullet point should be talking to customers, right? The second could be resolving the customer point. Maybe you put some statistics there, right? Every bullet point should have the impact. So it's not just, oh, I talked to 100 customers. No, but I talked to 100 customers, or I resolved issues for 100 customers that resulted in a maybe 5% increase in satisfaction rate, or 1% increase in retention, or 10% increase in NPS scores, right? So you want to speak in terms of, you want to be able to quantify the impact some of the things you did on a day-to-day had, right? So that's basically what I'll say about resume. To summarize that, one, make sure you put in the impact in terms of percentages, not just your day-to-day tasks. Okay, I closed customer tickets, no, but put some impact there. What was the impact of those things you did? Two, customize it in product management. Also put in there's some product management keywords. For instance, research, for instance, led, because these are some product management soft skills. So you also want to have them sprinkled in there. Yeah, and then the third is just keep iterating. Every few months, if a resume is not converting, you can search online for templates and edit it, refresh it, change some things. But as much as possible, try to be truthful on your resume, because hiring managers have a way of spotting, when somebody is not telling the truth or very accurate. Yeah, so those are the tips I have. To just summarize them again, one will be it's a marathon, not a sprint. Then get experience wherever you can find it. Volunteer, NGOs, communities. The second point would be on resumes, which I delved extensively on. And I think the last point would be build a side project if you can't get experience. What problem can you solve in your vicinity that people would love or people would use? You don't also you don't need to code it out. There's some no-code platforms you could use to build a sort of MVP. Maybe a Google form, maybe just a website and a Google form could suffice for a start. In fact, businesses started that way. There are a lot of businesses that started that way, just Google forms and websites. Yeah, so those are the advice I'll have for product management. Sorry it was lengthy, but hope I was able to.
Yeah, it was exactly what we needed. I couldn't even bring myself to say reduce the time. No, it was exactly what we needed. Thank you so much, Valentine, for coming on the pod today. I surely learned something. I hope you all learned something as well. As usual, you could drop your comments, your experiences on social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, or you could even send a voice message on Spotify here as well. So see you next time. Have a good week. Thank you, Valentine.
Yeah, thank you, Naya. It was exciting discussing